How's it going, guys? WTS Weather here, and today I'm bringing you guys an update on Tropical Storm Ernesto that's currently sitting off the coast of Puerto Rico. So you guys can clearly see Puerto Rico right here. Here's our coastline. Here's Ernesto right here. Big wave of convection right now. And I did make, if you guys watched my video last night, I know it was a little bit late, but I did mention that I did believe Ernesto would become much better organized tomorrow, and it has done that here. Currently, we're sitting at winds of 65 miles an hour with Ernesto. But we can clearly see a CDO, a big cloud cover over our center of low pressure. We also do see a little bit of cloud cover off to the south, and I do think this is just some convective blow up. I do believe our center is right dead smack in the middle of this convection that's ongoing right here. So here's just a little screenshot of the radar. I know I wasn't able to get a GIF of it, unfortunately, but here we are. I did just want to show you guys of it. I just want to show you guys this. We can clearly see our center right here, right now. That's about where the low pressure is. And we see bands, very big and heavy bands of rain just to the south of Puerto Rico. And right now our center is currently moving in just about a northwestward direction. So it is going to miss Puerto Rico, thankfully. And right now, Puerto Rico, they may be wondering, where's all of our rain at? Well, here it is. All of this convection is just going to go straight into Puerto Rico overnight and into tomorrow, and that's where our heaviest rain is going to be. Once this center is north of Puerto Rico, you're going to see those trailing rain bands really start to move into the coastline. Here's our cone from the National Hurricane Center. It has strengthened significantly since last night. Last night we were working with the 40-mile-an-hour tropical storm. Now we're working with the stronger tropical storm, 65 miles an hour. Has slowed down to 18 miles an hour now. And currently our center is just north of Puerto Rico here and just north of the British Virgin Islands. We do see some hurricane watches out for the British Virgin Islands. They are experiencing probably the worst conditions that they will be at this point in time. Luckily for Puerto Rico, most of the stronger tropical storm force winds are to the northeast of the system, so they shouldn't have to worry about wind too much on Puerto Rico. And we see the NHC does have this thing becoming a hurricane tomorrow, and it's going to move straight towards Bermuda, unfortunately. It's going to dodge the Bahamas and Dominican Republic, but we do see it curve straight towards Puerto Rico on Saturday. Here's our wind field history. So far, the northeastern Caribbean has seen some tropical storm force winds in those yellow areas, and that's only going to continue here. And what we do see is that this wind field has gotten significantly larger compared to yesterday, and now we're working with a much larger wind field, and it's only going to increase as the storm strengthens. So here's our tropical storm force wind probabilities. We see northern Puerto Rico is really on the higher end, and again, the western end of Puerto Rico, the impacts are not going to be as significant. I think really the eastern end of Puerto Rico is rarely where we're going to see most of those impacts. British Virgin Islands, you guys are already seeing tropical storm force winds, and Bermuda right there, 70 to 80% chance of tropical storm force winds. So Bermuda is going to be dealing with at least tropical storm conditions sometime within the next couple of days. Here's our hurricane force wind speed probabilities. 5% chance just off Puerto Rico here. So Puerto Rico is dodging a little bit of a bullet with this one. And we do see some chances getting up to 20 to 30% in Bermuda, which, guys, this is just really not good for Bermuda at the moment at all. So here's our rainfall forecast from the National Hurricane Center. We see a large area of 1 to 2 inches of rain over much of the northeastern Caribbean. We see these darker greens is where we get into 2 to 4 inches. Eastern Dominican Republic, we're seeing 2 to 4 inches. We're seeing 2 to 4 inches over all of Puerto Rico, all of the British Virgin Islands. And then we do see some yellows here, which indicates 4 to 6 inches over Guadalupe, Antigua, Dominica, British Virgin Islands. We're going to see some significant rainfall. And when we get into these oranges, like in Puerto Rico, we could be dealing with 6 to 8, and potentially more rainfall than 8 inches, which is going to cause major flash flooding concerns. Here's our storm surge forecast. I don't believe storm surge is going to be too much of a threat with this system. However, 1 to 3 feet is still nothing to take lightly here. It still can cause some conditions, some hazardous conditions on the beach and just on the coastlines. Here's our latest recon pass at the time of me making this video. So the recon plane has actually found a central pressure of 999 millibars, and it is actually only going to decrease from here. They've already found a deeper pressure down to 997 now, and Again, what we do notice is that these strong winds are really on the eastern side of the storm, and they're very spread out. The western side of the storm is very weak in terms of winds. We're not even looking at tropical storm force winds on the western side. It's really just this northeast and southeastern side of the storm where our strongest winds are. Here we're taking a look at the energy within Ernesto, and currently this is very spread out, and what this is telling us, the mid-level and low-level centers are not currently aligned. Once these two bundles of energy conjoin and align, this storm is going to be prime for some quickly and maybe even rapidly intensification. Here's our European ensembles. We do see Puerto Rico is not going to, most likely won't see a landfall tonight. Here's our GFS ensembles. A little bit further west here, a few models show Ernesto potentially curving westward of Bermuda, and that is something that we might have to watch out for, because a westward track would be much more damaging to Bermuda than an eastward track. If the majority of the storm's impacts are going to be on the west side of the storm rather than the east side. So if the storm goes to the west of Bermuda, it's going to cause major impacts compared to the east side. Here we have the GFS model. Ernesto right here, a little bit stronger than it was initialized on the GFS. And again, we see that this big swath of rain associated near the center of Ernesto that's just going to work its way through this area. And again, Ernesto is moving quickly here. This is already Wednesday morning. The center of the storm is going to be well north of Puerto Rico. And I think it's going to be a little bit stronger than what the GFS is showing, because it actually already is around this pressure of 995. It already is around this pressure. Rainfall continues to batter Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico until Thursday, where now we're working with a hurricane here, and boom, we already have a 977 rapidly intensifying hurricane. This thing has very high chances of rapid intensification compared to a regular storm. The structure is quite small. The storm is quite small at this time. I do think that it does have a chance of rapid intensification as we move forward. And now we have a 969 low pressure storm just in overnight Thursday into Friday. And you can see Bermuda is just getting battered by rainfall here. Here's Bermuda right here. I don't know if you guys can see it. I'll point an arrow right there. Bermuda's in the middle of all that rainfall. So yeah, Bermuda is going to have to deal with a lot in terms of rain. Now we're working with a little bit of strength, a little bit of weakening here for Ernesto. We do expect some fluctuations as our placement cycles are likely, but that doesn't change the fact that here the GFS is predicting Bermuda in the middle of the northeastern eyewall of Ernesto, and that would just be absolutely catastrophic for that island. 962 millibar hurricane with Bermuda dead in the center of the northeast eyewall. That would be absolutely devastating on Saturday night. Here's our wave heights currently, and this is measured in feet. We're seeing some strong waves all throughout the Northeast Caribbean, and those waves are only going to get bigger here. These waves are going to be massive, nearing 20 feet just north of Puerto Rico, and on Dominican Republic and Puerto Rico, we should be seeing some waves in the range of 5 to 10 feet. As now we're looking overnight. We're looking into the nighttime on Wednesday, overnight into Thursday. We see waves well over 20 feet and waves well over 5 feet in the Dominican Republic here. And these waves are only going to get crazier. You guys are going to see later as I continue to show you this run. Yeah, we're working with waves 30, nearing 40 feet near the center of the storm. A large swath of 5+ foot waves here. And they're going to get quite close to the United States. I do think the one impact that the U.S. should expect from this is a very large swell. You're going to be dealing with some life-threatening surf, so please, within the next week, stay off the beaches. These beaches are going to be hazardous over the next week as Ernesto, a powerful storm, makes its way through. Here, I do want to point out Puerto Rico, and I do want to go over what the outlook for these waves are going to be. So starting on Friday, we do see some strong 5 to 10 foot waves, and moving into Saturday, now we're working with some potential 10 to 15 foot waves making their way into Bermuda. We are now seeing some potentially 20 foot to maybe 30 foot waves on the beaches of Bermuda on Saturday, according to the GFS model, and this would just be absolutely catastrophic here. This would just be absolutely catastrophic for the island. the beaches are going to be very, very hazardous. So if you do happen to live in Bermuda, I strongly encourage you to not go anywhere near the beaches until the storm has passed. And again, this is still Sunday. We're working with 20-foot waves here. It's going to be a long time until these waves really start to die down. And again, all up along the east coast, we are seeing waves reaching up into the 5 foot plus area. Here's our upper level mechanics with this system. I do want to point out the turn that's going on with Bermuda. I want to break it down for you guys here. So here's Ernesto, and we are seeing a trough that's currently dragging Ernesto northward. Slowly but surely, this trough is going to drop down and bring Ernesto up towards Bermuda and eastward. Now, the GFS and all of the models have really been hinting at a very interesting scenario here. This trough is going to actually not completely pick up Ernesto here. This is now Friday. Here's Bermuda out here. This trough is not going to completely pick up Ernesto. If it did completely pick up Ernesto, we'd see a track well east of Bermuda, and there'd be very minimal impacts. However, what's going to happen here, and what's really going to make this devastating for Bermuda, is the fact that we see this trough just absolutely leave Ernesto in the dust. And then another trough is going to swing along, and while that trough swings along, Ernesto is just going to be moving due north here while it waits for this trough, another trough to come through. And that's what we're really going to see is Ernesto is going to start to slow down a whole lot here. It's going to start to slow down around the island of Bermuda. While it waits for this trough, it's going to be moving due north right through the island of Bermuda, and that's really why we are looking at a potential landfall in Bermuda compared to what usually happens. And again, this trough is going to come through and just blow Ernesto out of here. Finally, I just wanted to show you guys the most recent update of the recon passage, and here again we see some strong tropical storm force winds in the northeastern quadrant, and right now that's really what we're going to be working with for the next day or so, until this thing starts to get really, really well defined. In Puerto Rico, they have lucked out in terms of wind speeds. I don't think much of Puerto Rico is going to be seeing tropical storm force winds, as we do see most of them are off to the north and to the east. I still think the majority of the impacts are going to be the rain that starts to fall within the next 24 hours. Those areas of 8+ inches could get quite devastating wherever some heavier bands set up. Anyways, that's going to do it for today, guys. Thank you guys for tuning in again. And if you have any questions, I strongly encourage you to visit the National Hurricane Center. And I do believe that this storm we will be waking up to a hurricane tomorrow morning with Ernesto at the rate it's going. It's strengthening very quickly here. And it's looking like quite a dismal outcome for Bermuda over the next couple of days. And if you guys did enjoy the video, feel free to leave a like and subscribe. And again, if you have any questions or concerns, feel free to leave them in the comment section of this video. And I will most certainly be making an update on this tropical storm, potential hurricane, tomorrow. That's it, guys.